Dang, it's 2:19.
Yeah.
Yo, this doesn't even feel like, well, I mean, it's not work. This has been really fun. And we all know what happens when you have fun. Time goes by really, really fast.
So you also, by the way, I'm Marcos. By the way.
Marcos, you said?
Marcos. You can also say Marcus.
Marcus.
You can say both.
Cool.
Marcus. Yeah. My family in Spanish they say it Marcos.
Okay.
But then everybody, even them, when they say it in English, they're like Marcus. Get over here. Change the O to a U. I think it's just phonetically better. But yes, that's me.
Hailey.
Hailey, nice to meet you. Cool. So recording. Yeah, we'll be like
She answered my, oh my God, I got like all these.
Oh my
See,
God.
this is what happens. I knew it. I should have.
The little blue dot of
Man,
doom.
tell me.
I mean, excited.
Doom, all of that. All right, so it's, the usual. Who are you? What do you represent? What's your organization? We're gonna kind of go over like the event here and like what you got from it, your aspirations for the work that you do in your region. Like, what does that look like? You gotta tell us if we walk into your garden. What is that garden sign gonna say? Super important. That's what links us all together. And then, of course, we're gonna promote what you're doing and elevate what you're. How do we get in contact with you, stuff like that. And who knows where the conversation is gonna go? Because we've had all different types of convos today.
I love it.
All right.
Cool.
All right.
Let me just break this down and then that up. There we go. Sorry.
You're fine.
That's what's on the
Just
sorry.
in case.
All good.
You can feel like, if you gotta move around or whatever you can,
Alrighty.
and not be restricted by the headset.
Sweet. We're good to go whenever you are.
Okay, we ready?
Sergeant.
You got the pressure for a good time. All right, here we go.
Recording.
Yo, check it out. Here we are again. We've been going hard all day, doing this podcast, and this is the Power Plant Podcast with the Big Green DAO. I'm Staff Sergeant Mac. We're in lovely, spicy hot Denver, Colorado. It's a blistering 90 degrees outside, just to throw that climate change out there. But I am here with an amazing guest. Please, introduce yourself. Who are you? What organization do you represent?
My name is Hailey LeRand. I'm from Chicago, and I'm representing Global Gardens in Chicago.
Global Gardens in the Chi. Man, I love your town. Okay, I do.
Me too.
Granted, I stick out like a sore thumb sometimes in different regions of the world. And even though I did stick out like a sore thumb in the Chi was very welcoming to me. So I appreciate that.
I'd like to think it's welcoming. Lots of variety of people there, something for everyone.
Definitely something for everybody there in the Chi. So I gotta know, your organization, like, what do you do? Like, or more than that, because we know it's gonna be around food. Right? Growing food changes lives. We know that. But this year, what focus do you have? What goals are you trying to attain? Like, what's going on in your neck of the woods of Chicago?
Mm-hmm. So we are a 1-acre urban farm that serves refugees. So we have some folks growing for home consumption, we have 6 folks who are growing for sale to local restaurants, farmers markets. But I think more than a farm, this year I've really been thinking about and focusing on how the farm is a community space. I mean, these are refugees who came from subsistence agricultural backgrounds, had farms in their home countries, and in the summertime I noticed that people are here, that I'm not there at 4 a.m., but I hear that folks come at 4 a.m., I see them leave at 9 p.m. They eat together every night, we cook together at the farm, they're there every single day. And when I asked them, hey, you're here a lot, what would you do if there was no farm? They say they just stay home, which tells me that these populations of refugees who are mostly from Burma, different African countries, Bhutan, Cambodia, that they don't feel like there are community spaces for them in the city. And so I'd like to think of the farm as, not only a farm, but a community space and also a site of healing. There's a lot of, I think, therapy that goes on inadvertently there and processing. I like to think about the garden as a a community and a therapeutic landscape.
Where did all this start from?
So it started from a vacant lot in the city. There are many of them. It used to be a candy factory, actually, and delicious. While I wasn't there during the founding of it, it was acquired in 2012 under a city lease. So in exchange for the value we were providing to the community, we have been able to use the land for free, which is pretty cool. And we just noticed that there were a lot of refugees in Chicago, and especially ones that were coming from agrarian backgrounds. And suddenly there was a large waiting list. We still carry that waiting list to today, which later I'll talk about how the future goal would be more land.
Land acquisition.
Yeah.
Like that. So why? So first off, what motivated you to do this? Like just get into this work, this line of work.
I've always been interested in working at the convergence of nature and culture, and I was never sure what that looked like or what that meant. I had a background in social science research and was actually working for a university researching urban agriculture projects in Chicago, and I came across this space and thought, wow, I don't want to research this, I want to be involved in it. Of course, I didn't know the first thing about a 501c3. I didn't know what a grant was, you know. So I started getting involved there in 2017, and this year in January, I took over as director. So.
Okay, well, you're obviously doing something right. Because if you end up coming in and then all of a sudden you end up the director, that's pretty dope.
I never left. I was adamant. But we've grown a lot in the past few years. You know, it started with the USDA grant that got us started a little bit, and now we're 2 people. We have 6 farmers who sell produce. They're making supplemental income from that.
That's dope. That's dope. So, so you got a crew of 2. I can definitely relate to that. You know, juggling everything, and I understand how stressful. I don't think people understand like how freaking stressful that is, man.
It is, and if you're a small organization, you're expected to, you know, I'm not an accountant, so how am I going to hire an accountant if I don't have a background and know?
Or the capital to hire them fools,
or even the knowledge to know what makes a good accountant, what makes a good, you know, it's you're expected to have a diverse array of knowledge, and so I've done a lot of learning on the job.
Yes.
A lot of tapping the community.
I totally agree, man. Like, this is how long ago? You said 2019.
I started.
When you started, when you volunteered, when you got into the group was 2019. But when you took over as executive director was when?
So I started being involved in 2017, and then started just working part-time, seasonal, 2020. And then took over as director full-time this year in 2024 January, when our founder retired. And it's been interesting. I mean, I try to lead it, you know, because I'm not the one doing the farming. Try to lead it democratically. Just say, hey, you know, you 6 market farmers who are using the land the most. What do you want? What do you want to grow? What farmers markets do you want to go to? What do you want to see here? Do you see this as a community space? It seems to be. Do you know? So we try to. I feel like I have their support and their guidance. Because it's not about me. It's about them.
I wonder, in your particular predicament, like because of the cultural differences, like because that's like you said Burma. I heard Africa. You know what I mean? That is a lot of different multicultural, multi-ethnic. Growing group on an acre and some change, like that's a lot, and that's very different. How do you make it work?
Well, there are definitely some expected issues of cultural clashing, and some of it is above what I'll ever understand. I mean, we have multiple ethnic groups from Burma present at the farm. We're about 80% folks from Burma, and there are ethnic tensions that way predate the farm between certain regions of, and so I just, you know, I can't make those better. I can only try to facilitate calm communication, conflict resolution. You know, there's only so much I can smooth over, but that's the biggest. And then just dealing with different languages and dialects and communication. I mean, some dialects you can't even They're not even on Google Translate.
Yeah.
There's no one, one group speaks the mountain language, one speaks the lowland language, and disseminating messages.
Lowland language.
Yeah, it gets really, and just different cultural, if you put like a refugee from Burma in a traditional agriculture apprenticeship program in the United States, there's a lot that they would need to navigate and a lot of cultural clashes that would happen.
Yeah.
For example, even with selling their produce. So farmers in their country, that what I've been told, it's commonplace to maybe be a bit more aggressive with your selling. So a customer walks up to your farmer's market booth. You're going to say, I have green beans. These are the best green beans in town. Why don't you buy my green? Do you want to buy my kilo?
Yeah.
And so
And here in America, you're like, oh my God.
To say like, hey,
guys.
it's a little different. And most of the folks are limited in English. Some are illiterate in both English and their language. So, how are they going to join a traditional incubator or apprenticeship program if there's no way to, so novel ways of showing them things, a lot of pictures, a lot of demonstrations has to be adapted to their culture.
That's interesting. So that brings up, like, my mind was just like coming up with all these different questions for you, because now, like, here you are running this organization that is this multicultural, diverse, beast that you're rocking with, and it's like, you're trying to get people placed in places where they can get, I guess you can say, the qualifications to continue to grow and maybe have a place of their own that they can ultimately get. How does that what does that look like? And is that a part of your program?
Yeah, so that's interesting because that was a past, under our previous leadership, that was the direction, the strategic vision is that, okay, we have this, just to back up a bit, half of our acres, 57 community plots for refugees. Those families come and go, they're just going for home consumption. The other half acre is split between 6 people. They each have about 2,000 square feet. Now, previously, it was thought that we were an incubator farm, that these farmers wanted to go off and start their own operation. They wanted to buy land in the Illinois suburbs. They wanted to be a farm business. And if you talk to them, that's actually not what they want to do. They don't want to do what the USDA grant thinks we're doing. They want to stay farming communally. They don't want to leave the social services of the city, the community, the church, the temple. So most of them actually want to keep working whatever their day job or nighttime job is and do the farm on the side. They don't want to buy land in the Illinois suburbs and be divorced from. And they also, farming is precarious. Let's say how it is. It's not easy, and they've been through a lot. So
I mean that does make sense.
So I see it as, maybe every 3 years we have a cohort, and they get a taste of what it's like to sell in Chicago, and then they move on, and they can use those skills. We're not necessarily creating independent farmers, but we're, giving them some skills that they can perhaps take into other areas of their life, make a little supplemental income for a while.
Okay.
But it's still in the works.
So here you are, a part of the DAO. How do you think you can leverage the DAO to help you, your vision, or, I don't know, expose folks to something different? How do you think you can leverage the DAO?
I can answer that in a multiplicity of ways. I think that I'd like to show that there's an example out there of a place that's as democratically led as possible, that it's possible to, hand the power over to the people who are really doing the work. And, I'm here if they need me, I'm here to get them the dollars, but it's really about them and what they want. And, they're the leaders. Let's leverage those voices. As far as how the DAO, from a future of funding perspective, I'd love to, just to be candid, to get out of the USDA grants because they don't really fit our vision anymore.
Yeah.
I'd love to see our farm, have more general operating support to kind of get out of this incubator farm box that we've been in previously.
So with that in mind, what you just said, these particular, especially these real life events, because the platform that we used before was Discord. We changed that platform to Slack. But how do you think, well, one, who did you meet here? Who fits that vision of what you're trying to do? And how will you be able to follow through with the connections that you make?
I met so many great people here. I met some folks doing work in Chicago that I've heard of but haven't even gotten a chance to connect with.
Yeah.
Because we're in a different part of the city. We're up on the northwest side, they're on the south side, so I got to connect with some folks from the Englewood neighborhood and say, oh, you're doing this, you're trying to start a 501c3. I have advice and maybe you can help me out with this. So Sisters in the Village, I chatted with them, that was cool. I got to chat with Sam, who lives close to our farm, but I never had heard of him until last week. So
wow. Okay.
Yeah, so those were two connections that stood out. Sam's on our email list.
So what you gonna do? What you gonna do with that information and that knowledge now? Well, like this is our conversation right here. What we're working on right now is literally like the vision that I had definitely as being one of the original 6 members of the DAO. Like this is what I wanted, man. Like for there to be collaboration and conversations like this, because someone out there listening right now is going to wonder how you do it. How do you leverage that, you know, the DAO, or how do you make those connections and try to show true partnership? Because you've been sitting through some classes here, and I'm sure some of it's been like, okay, I do know that. I'm good on that. But like now it's like, how do you take what you know and then put it in general practice, right? So
that's
where are we going from here, man?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely all about connection, and I haven't had a chance to connect with. I mean, just first of all, just having in-person events, and I think sometimes asking the questions is a productive way of conversation. Getting together in person, events like this, event like in Chicago, there's a lot of cross-pollination conferences that facilitate that cross-pollination. But I think sometimes like coming up with the questions we should be asking is just as important as the answer, and that provides a direction. So even just, I think this is productive, like conversation, real conversation, not just with me, but like our farmers. I'd love to include them on a conversation. Like, hey guys, this is the DAO, this is what it is. Get an interpreter who speaks Mountain Karen language and say, this is the DAO, what do you think about this?
Yes.
And like, let's, cultural perceptions of concepts are always different. Psychology and communication is always grounded in culture. So I'd love to hear like what they like. Maybe we get together, have an interpreter, talk to the DAO. What's up? What do you think of this?
Yeah, man. I have a ton of questions for the folks out there that are growing food that you work with. Like, one, like, what's their like go-to crop? Like, what is the thing that like sticks out? And I'm sure you know. Go ahead, tell me what is it?
I'd love to say that it's Oppo squash leaf or bottle gourd, if you've seen it. It's like a long green squash. And the thing about some of these cultures is they eat the whole plant. So they're not just eating the fruit, but they're eating the leaves, the stems. And about this time when those are fruiting, we have a bunch of people from Southeast Asia stop by the farm, and they'll point to them. They want to buy them because they know that they can get them.
You have such a short. This is ignorance on my part, because I don't grow food out in Illinois. I grow food in Colorado, and I know we have a short window of growing food outside. What does that look like for you in Chicago?
We have a hoop house, which allows a little bit of season extension. It's not a greenhouse, it's a hoop house, so thick plastic, not hard plastic. But it allows us to start in March and wrap up around end of November.
End of November, it's cold in a mofo.
It is cold as a mofo, but collards and kales, they don't care.
They down with that.
They're down with that. Oppo squash, tomatoes, eggplants, nightshade crabs, not so much. We'll get those until like late October.
Okay. Yeah. And how does speaking of climate change, how does the heat in the summer affect like the crop growing there? What kind of challenges have you run into with your farmers? We've
run into a lot of well, first of all, just from a health standpoint, a lot of the farmers are older, so they're going to be more heat sensitive in terms of just they're comfortable with. So just gotta always check in with them there, make sure they're staying hydrated. As far as
if they're there all day,
I'm like, oh my god. But as far as like crops go, definitely like things flowering early, insect and pest issues that I have. I am not an agronomist. We partner with University of Illinois Extension for in-depth crop pest problems, but sometimes our vegetables are ugly. They're sometimes ugly, and I'd wager that some of that can be traced back to climate changes.
Okay.
So sometimes people are going to get ugly crops. You're going to have holes in your arugula, and I promise you that it doesn't mean it's less healthy.
Really good. Yeah, exactly. I get that a lot. I get that a lot with middle schoolers.
Oh, really?
They're like, wait a minute, that doesn't look right. And I'm like, yes, it's fine. It's gonna go well with our salad.
Some fungus issues on plants, like white rust, which is a disease of brassicas, actually have vitamin B.
Really?
Yeah. It looks
And what is that a disease of again?
It's called white rust, and it makes like little whites. It's a fungus.
Yes, that's
like
on my
mustard.
squash.
Yeah, I
It's
think
on my
it's
squash.
Yeah, but apparently
It may be
it's
something different.
Anyway.
Maybe I have something very unique.
But even just like in terms of climate change, like our growing season is longer now, and you know it's also more unpredictable. Like we planted our tomatoes too early last year, and they all died.
Ooh.
So,
Okay.
but you know the weather faked us out.
Dang. All right. Well. Okay. Well. Let's. If I walked into that acre, what would the plant sign say? What would yours say?
The plant sign?
Sign. Yep. The plant sign, like your garden sign.
Oh,
Farm
you mean like
sign.
our literal sign, like Global Gardens Chicago?
No. I'm talking about like your little philosophy that you would want to put on that bad boy.
Oh, wow.
It could be one word. It doesn't even matter.
Community. I mean.
Is that what it would be?
Yeah, because it feels more like that than a farm even. I feel like community is an all-encompassing.
Yeah, I feel that. Community. Village? I'd say village.
Village, yeah, or like some cross-pollination.
Ooh,
You know,
cross-pollination.
because there is a lot of despite cultural differences, people are friends, they get along, they learn from each other, and there's also I don't like to think of the farm as like a space where they're only interacting with each other, but we have a lot of events at the farm that facilitate communication with the broader, Chicago neighborhood, so they're getting out of the farm.
Tell us about that. What are you talking about?
So we have a concert series, so the farm, we hire, musicians who play music usually rooted in other cultural traditions. And neighbors come, they can just suggest a donation at the door. We have cooking classes led by the farmers and by local chefs. Anybody can come to that. There's no place to get Burmese food anywhere in Cook County. So it's also about leveraging, cooking is just as important as farming to most of them.
Burmese food.
Burmese food. So
Do they have kind of like pho?
So they have a noodle soup called mohinga. It's the national dish of Burma. Yeah. And the farmers lead these classes and teach the neighborhood about an otherwise kind of forgotten cuisine.
Mohinga.
Mohinga. M-O-H-I-N-G-A. Tasty.
Want to try that out?
According to my Google searches, there is a Burmese restaurant in Denver. I have not gone to try it, but
I haven't. You know more
might have.
about Denver than I do. Drop some on me.
so go get some mohinga from your
Mohinga.
local.
Gotcha.
And I guarantee, if it's not on the menu, just ask them for it. They'll make it for you.
Be like, we got you.
Bro.
That's dope. That's dope. So the village, yeah. You know what? Yeah, you said multiple things that stood out to me through our conversation. One was just the importance of that community village feeling. Like you have, and I think this is something that stretches across a lot of the podcasts that we've been doing this day. Is that I see that theme of community, economic growth, education, youth involvement, our elders, the baby boomers, handing off their knowledge to the younger folks, whether it be from different, languages, cultures. Like this is like the centerpiece of like a community is around that garden or around that farm, which is extremely pivotal.
Yeah, and I like multi-generational. That's something else I think about a lot. The farm is definitely a space. It's a means by which the older generations can pass it on to the younger ones.
So how can folks get a hold of you? We come to Chicago, or let's say we're in Colorado, or we're in Texas, and we want to donate. We want to get involved. I want to get that newsletter. I want to be a fan. How do we get a hold of you?
globalgardenschicago.org, our new website that has just been launched,
freshly
designed. How did we launch it? I had another organization volunteer to design it for us.
That is dope. Who was the organization?
It's called Women Unite Chicago. We applied to be a part of their cohort. They help women-led nonprofits in Chicago with communications and grant writing support. Check them out.
That's dope. Selfless plug. I love it.
globalgardenschicago.org.
I've been asking some folks about their favorite veggie. Lucky started that thing up. My co-host, Stephen Lucky's not here today. He's way too important, apparently, to come hang out with me this day. But no, he's got things he's got to do. He's got agrotech to go over. But what is your favorite veggie, or flower, or fruit?
I think the first things that come to mind are bitter melon and eggplant. Are you familiar with bitter melon?
That is such a weird. There's so many different ways that you can do things with both of those veggies. Tell us about it. Why?
Well, bitter melon is first of all, the leaf is really tasty. You can put some cooked food in the leaf, wrap it up, and eat it like a bitter melon leaf burrito. Very tasty. It's medicinal too. Supposedly has a lot of health benefits.
Is that a Burmese dish?
Bitter melon's used in Southeast Asian cuisine, also Filipino and Indian. Indian is called Karela. If you go to an Indian restaurant.
Because I had some of that. I eat pancit all the time, and that's where I had that the first time. The bitter melon leaf.
Oh yeah, it's an acquired taste, but I feel like I've always really really loved bitter flavors, and then I tasted bitter melon. It was like a match made in heaven. I thought, wow, this is great. And then eggplant is I just love it anyway. I'll eat that. Raw, man. Give me some eggplant. I'll eat it any which way.
Ratatouille rules eggplants for me, because like every time I think about somebody prepping ratatouille, I think about the little rodents cooking in the kitchen, man.
And there's so many different varieties of like eggplant. So many different varieties of vegetables in general. But yeah, I love all eggplants.
Okay. All right. Eggplants and bitter melon. Okay. Well, you heard it here. That's how it is. Yeah. For someone who is interested in getting into that type of work, starting off their nonprofit, or founding their own little area, wanting to like go after, let's say, some dilapidated piece of land that they want to flip, like what advice can you give to folks out there?
I can give them advice that's Chicago situated. If they're in Chicago, neighborspace.org. Neighborspace is a nonprofit that helps community gardens and urban farms in Chicago lease land. They take care of a lot of the bureaucracy that comes with getting a city lot. Neighborspace is great, as well as Advocates for Urban Agriculture is a agricultural organization in Chicago that is sort of an all-encompassing, very broad, kind of your first step if you want to start a farm in Chicago. For advice, everything regarding land, to if you want to join a community garden, join a project that's already existing, or start your own. As far as starting I took over a nonprofit. I didn't start one, so I don't know how much advice I can offer in that realm. There's been a lot I've learned this year, like what's a 990? Well, I just found out. So
those are really important.
I'm not the person to ask about that. I can talk about land acquisition, but
Well, see that we're on land acquisition. Duran was one of our teachers here. He's a part of the DAO. He has things going on in North Carolina where he came across 90 acres of land, y'all. Wow. 90 acres this man is leveraging right now. And a lot of it has to do with like historical, I forget how he said it. It was like something about that. We're going to look back at one of our episodes. I want to say that's episode 2, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Duran was episode 2 for Power Plant, and he talked so much and so well about land acquisition and how to leverage that land after you get it. And I would like to know, seeing that you're at the seat of land, how would someone leverage, let's say I got an acre, I finally got my acre, how would I be able to leverage that land in Chicago?
You mean like what would be the first step towards acquiring it, or
not just, let's say I've already acquired the land.
Okay.
Now I gotta get, I gotta get my barn on there, I gotta get my tools, I gotta get the tractor. How can I leverage the land itself to give me a little more capital? Because now, I spent, 15 grand for an acre, which I'm just throwing a number out there. I'm pretty sure it's close though. Maybe not inside of Chicago, I'm sure it's a lot more. Yeah. But let's say I spent all this money on acquiring the land. Now, what can I do to leverage that land to help me get tools and stuff, especially if I'm doing agriculture? Is there any steps for that?
I mean, the first things that come to mind in Chicago, there are so many grants and also resources for beginning farmers. I can't speak to other regions, but Chicago has a lot of support for people who, they just got land, now what? So, and also thinking about diversifying income streams. If your goal is to have income, like we have beehives, we grow flowers, we grow vegetables. The farmers all want chickens. I don't know if our landlord wants that, so I'm trying to think about that. But
Listen, you're the 6th person today, I want to say 6, that talked about chickens.
really,
Yes.
oh my gosh, yeah.
From Georgia all the way up to Chicago. Yeah, I want chickens, but I want bees.
Yeah, bees are great. I mean, it's cool that, you know, the honey's made right there, and you know, we have a beekeeper that comes as a community volunteer. He takes care of the bees.
That's fresh.
So yeah, those are the first things that I think about. You know, because I wasn't there in the beginning phases of it, I feel like I don't bring that unique perspective of, you know, because I wasn't, you know, didn't have to start my own thing. But those are the things.
Well, I mean, I know you're juggling this thing right now, but do you think you would want to start your own?
Oh, start my own operation?
Yeah. I mean, you're getting all this knowledge, man.
Yeah, I'm so. If I didn't have to work another day in my life, I'd still be doing the same thing as I'm doing now.
Okay.
I truly have this dream. It's a privilege and an honor to learn. I'm not the one teaching these folks; they're teaching me.
Yeah.
And it's a privilege and an honor to be involved with them. And I don't think I would want to do anything else. So if I can keep this nonprofit going, that's really how I want to spend my time.
That's right.
When I was younger, I think sometimes I did have fantasies of like, I'm gonna get land back to the land, which is awesome. But I think my passion more lies in working with these folks.
That's dope. That's dope. I like that. That's a true believer. You got. Let's switch it up.
Yeah.
You know what? That just hit me like, real hard right there. we talked a little. We skimmed it a little bit about just like the mental health aspect of doing this work. I think that it's very critical that we all talk about it because there's burnout is real. You know what I mean? Especially if you're juggling an organization. How do you balance that? What are your techniques in dealing with we all have our own personal stuff that we have to deal with, and then we have the pressures of, being a leader in the community and like even expectations with that, especially when you're dealing with different cultures and when it comes to women too, especially. Yeah. Like how has that affected you? How do you, work through that? Because there are, women listeners as well as myself. It don't matter what sex you are, to tell you the truth. You're going to be dealing with something. What are some of the ways that you deal with that stress?
Yeah, I think whenever I'm stressed at the farm, the farm they're not just people I work with, but they're my own community. They're my closest friends. They're like family. And, coming to the actual space, getting away from my computer, getting away from the grant, which generally is stressing me out. When I am on that land, when I'm like there, just about 7 p.m. in the late summertime, and we can all cook together, it just anchors me. I mean, I get goosebumps talking about it, but like, gathering for a meal, that's everything. I think that's my singular answer. I gather for a meal with them, and it just dissipates all things. I have other ways I deal with stuff, like, I like swing dancing. I really relieve my own stress.
Okay,
I'm into
swing
that.
dancing.
Hobbies, music. I'm a musician, but really the first thing that comes to mind is
sitting down, breaking bread.
In
the garden.
Literally in the garden.
That's right. That's dope. We can put a quote on that. We might have to put some trademark on that. Well, that's dope. Yo, thank you for sitting down with me today and us diving in. I think it's critically important for us to tell our stories. Like, there are so many heroes and sheroes out there, and you're one of them. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm a fan. That is dope. I will be following and cheering and however I can support.
Thank you.
Whatever I can do from my end, you know what I mean? I just want you to understand, especially other DAO members, that even though we have like a steering committee here at the DAO, like your hand is on that wheel too. Like, this is not like most philanthropic organizations, man, where there's like a chosen few and ultimately what they say goes. Like, that is not what the DAO is about. So us handing out these grants, moving in whatever direction that we want to as a DAO, we do that together.
I'm just so glad this exists. You know, I don't know how I didn't find out about this until last week when Sam sent an email to the Chicago Urban Agriculture email list, and it's like, man, sometimes technology is the bane of my existence, but it got me here.
Yes.
So,
Well, right on, right on. This is Staff Sergeant Mac,
Hailey LeRand,
and we'll see you next time
thank you.
on the power plant.
Ooh, yeah.
And we got a lot of goodies on that one too,
Yeah,
man.
for sure.